During my presentation about the debates, I talked about Tulsi Gabbard. I want to apologize for something because how can I say this? I dropped the ball on something, and that something is, well, let me set it up for you. Let me help you understand. This is not me being contrite. This is me realizing I take something for granted. Okay? I take something for granted, and I need to correct it right now. Okay, so one of the comments that Kamala Harris made to Tulsi Gabbard in her failed attempt at really rocking Kamala Harris was a string of, some of it was smears, some of it is unproven. I don't know if it's a smear, but it's definitely unproven. And then there was like one shot in the little rant where Kamala tried to get some payback for the earlier rocking many moons ago when Tulsi Gabbard called her out about a record. One of the things that Kamala Harris said was about how we're going to beat Donald Trump, and that she was alluding to the belief that Tulsi Gabbard wouldn't be able to put together an Obama coalition that would be able to defeat Donald Trump. And I agree with her that I did not feel that Tulsi Gabbard has sufficiently been reaching out to black folks in order to build a coalition of enough black folks to ensure a defeat of Donald Trump. What I also should have said is neither is Kamala Harris. Neither are many of the candidates in this race. Okay? This is not exclusive to Tulsi Gabbard. This goes for everybody. I told Andrew Yang, I put out a video. I know maybe Tulsi people don't watch videos that have Andrew Yang's name in them, but I said Andrew Yang needs to get the black vote. He needs to do better with the black vote. That was the title of the video. So I'm not just talking about Tulsi Gabbard, but in that moment, I was talking to Tulsi Gabbard. But I've said the same about Bernie Sanders. I said the same thing about Andrew Yang. So here's the deal, guys. What I realized when I said that is that there's a couple reasons why I said it. One of the reasons why I said it is I don't think that Tulsi Gabbard is sufficiently sensitive to the issues of black folks. If she was sensitive to the issues of black folks, she, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, she would be more concerned with going on websites like Breitbart. I said it. If she was more sensitive to the issues of black folks, she would be more hesitant about going on Breitbart. And I know you're going to say, oh boy, there are people that watch Breitbart who are good people. Yeah, they said the same thing about Charleston. See how that worked out? Didn't it sound just like Trump? There's good people in Charleston on both sides, okay? So save that for somebody else. The net gain of going on Breitbart, what does you gain if you get a few people that are borderline whatever because they're listening or they watch Breitbart, and then you lose the relationship, or you damage your relationship with black people who you're going to need if you're really trying to become president, if you're really trying to win the nomination, or if you're trying to defeat Donald Trump. Like, you're going to need black votes. You don't risk your relationship with the black community to go on a website that is notoriously known for anti-black rhetoric and anti-Muslim rhetoric. Do you understand it? Is that crazy? And that's one of the reasons why I say that she's not serious about the black vote. She's not taking it seriously enough. Okay? The other thing is, I don't hear her talk about it enough. You need to be able to say, not people of color, black people. It ain't people of color that make the Democrats win the elections, it's black people. The group of people that votes 90% for the Democratic Party, without them voting, you get Trump. Without them coming in big numbers, you get Trump. When they show up, you get rid of Roy Moore, and you get Doug Jones, who's a freaking loser himself, but probably better than Roy Moore. You understand what I'm saying? People in Alabama, let me know if you hear me. Holler back. What I'm saying is really not that crazy, nor is it that radical, nor is it really that much of a diss. This is a problem with the Democratic Party that most black people know. So now what I needed to do, this is the part where I got wrong. I wasn't totally articulate enough about the issues concerning black people for you to understand why it's important that you deal with black people specifically. And I assumed you knew. I assumed you understood why I was saying it. Well, of course I'm saying it because if you are really truly running, not just to raise your profile, but you're running to become president, to win a nomination and become president and defeat Donald Trump, you're going to need that coalition. That's just how it is. Nobody becomes president in the Democratic Party without it. That's how we're made up. I know you say you're going to come in and everybody's like, he's going to come in and restructure and change up everything. And all of a sudden, a bunch of Republicans are going to vote Democrat and a whole bunch of independents are going to vote Democrat. And you don't need black people. But that's crazy. Okay? I don't think that's going to happen. Yes, you may get more independents. Yeah, you may peel off some Republicans. But Republicans are still going to be Republicans. by and large. It's how we're made up. And I have a problem with all of a sudden scratching black people off the board in lieu of possible votes from white folks whose social policies don't match what black people need them to be. So that's a couple things. Okay, so we're making ourselves clear here because people are not understanding. They're not getting, and maybe I'm miscommunicating it. Maybe so. I want to explain myself. I want to explain my position thoroughly. I'm not changing my position. In fact, I'm going to double down on my position, but I'm going to come with facts and data. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to respond to the numerous people who say to me, Tim Black, of course Tulsi Gabbard supports black people and black voters. She's trying to get the black vote. She sponsored H.R. 40, and she was the first person to do it. Do you realize how many people say that to me? Is it, first of all, that the only way to get support from the black community is to support a bill that's looking into reparations? Do you understand what H.R. 40 is? It is a resolution, a House resolution, to form a commission to take a look at reparations. It's not a bill to give reparations. You understand that, right? It's like, we need to set up a panel to see if we're gonna look at it. She signed a bill that it would be a good idea to set up a panel to look at reparations, to study it. Do you understand? This ain't about nobody getting anything. This is just a panel. So that's the first thing that people need to understand. Second thing is, do you know how long that resolution had been sitting in the House? Since 1989. It was introduced by Conyers, Congressman John Conyers, back in 1989. That's been in that Congress every year since 1989. How long has Tulsi Gabbard been in Congress? 2012, right? When did Tulsi Gabbard sign H.R. 40? See, y'all did this to yourself. You in my comment sections, you running amok. So you get, see, people on Twitter, people on YouTube. She been in Congress since 2012. When could she have co-sponsored this? 7 years ago, 8 years ago. When did she actually co-sponsor it? I know the answer. February 2019. Holla if you hear me. Holla if you hear me. When did she announce her bid for presidency? That she was running in the 2020 nomination for the nomination? January of 2019. So a month later, she signs on the resolution for this resolution to look into H.R. 40. Okay? So don't come to me. You come for me, I come for you. You come for me, I come for you. And I'm not saying she's the worst person in the world. There are other people who drag their feet on signing this as well. You go to look at the 116 Congress, H.R. 40 in the 116 Congress, you'll see the date that she signed it. So to the person and persons, the person who wrote me a ripping, asshole-ripping comment on Twitter, and then the people on YouTube, they did the same thing, and all the people that liked it, please become educated. And I would also like to know who lied to you. I definitely did not lie to you. I have never made it an issue. I would like to know who lied to you and told you that she signed this bill. She was one of the first people to sign it. Who told you that? I'm serious. Who told you that? Who told you that a bill that's been around since 1989, that Tulsi Gabbard was the first person to sign it? First of all, she wasn't the first person to sign it or to sponsor it. She wasn't in Congress when it was created. Do you understand? It don't even make sense what they're saying. I'd like to know who lied to you. You need to be mad at them, not mad at me. Hello? I would never do a video about that because I don't want to single her out for that. There are other people who haven't signed that legislation. There are other people who didn't sign on to that House. Had to be in the House to sign it, ladies and gentlemen. That legislation is in the House. There are other congressmen who haven't signed it, congresspersons, okay? So I wouldn't just make it about her. My issue about the black vote and about black supporters is not just about HR 40, so I would never hinge it on that alone anyway. That is a token thing anybody can do. Do we not see, isn't that one of our major beefs is that people sign on the legislation that they had no commitment to? Signing on the legislation is not everything. There is more. Look, hell, man. Kamala Harris signed on to Medicare for All, didn't she? Look what that got us. Elizabeth Warren signed on to Medicare for All. Look what that got us. Do you want me to continue? Tulsi Gabbard signed on to Medicare for All. What did that get us? Her writing her own bill and saying, I no longer support it. I want a public option. Hello? So we're going to keep it 100. Because there are people talking about now legislation that people signed on that's supposed to make me shut the hell up and not call these people to do better at something that I need them to do better at. That's what my job is. My job ain't your job. Your job is to go in comment sections and roast me if I say it was the third debate instead of the second debate. Someone actually roasted me for that. He got the debate numbers wrong. You know, this is what we deal with in independent media. But my job is to try to push candidates in the right direction and hold them accountable. That's my job, and try to do it with some entertainment value. And also cover other news, too, that's, you know, maybe not always the same way. But you understand. I don't mean to make this an adversarial situation, but goddamn it, you're not going to come for me and I not come for you. Or we're going to be coming for each other. And I know that sounded bad, Johnson. So now that that's out the way, now that we can come down to earth. Oh, I still have one more thing. Someone on Twitter sent me a clip of Tulsi Gabbard at New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, one of the, dare I say, one of the whitest places you could possibly be. But hey, talking about, with the ACLU, talking about mass incarceration and all these other things that are going to help the blacks. Here we go. And they were dead set, like, Tim Black, you got to see this. This will shut you down, Tim Black. Here goes Tulsi Gabbard, totally standing up for black people and showing that she cares about black people.
So you mentioned the First Step Act to me, and every time I hear it, my question is, what's the second act?
Yeah.
So the question to you is, as president, can you lay out specific policies that you would do in a second step act to end mass incarceration?
Well, the Second Step Act, or there's not a specific bill yet. I know some have been introduced, but with some organizations like Cut 50 and others, the next step towards this is sentencing reform and seeing how we can make sure that people like Harry, who I spoke about, are not having their lives ruined by these mandatory minimums. We need to get rid of the cash bail system that is disproportionately impacting people of color and people living in poverty all across this country. We've got to, again, deal with the failed war on drugs and how it's continuing to impact people and ruin their lives. There's a whole host of actions that we need to take, both in dealing with sentencing reform as well as dealing with what happens after. What happens after to make sure that we don't continue to have this revolving door that we know exists in so many of our communities.
So given exactly what you just said and the mention of Cut 50, as president, would you commit to reducing mass incarceration by 50%?
Yes.
Okay, and look, I want to first say that that's positive. I would be insincere to say that that's not a positive clip. It is a positive clip. For you to post it as if this somehow eradicates or this somehow removes my point about showing more concern and more focus on black issues, I think that's disingenuous on your part, if not very foolhardy. The experience of black folks in this country and what we're dealing with is not just wrapped up into criminal justice reform. Though that is one part of it. That is a part of it. Okay, but that's not the only thing. When people think about helping black people, the first thing they talk about is we lock you up less. That'd be good. Freedom is important, and that's probably one, for a lot of people, that's very important, and it's important to me. I think it's important. I supported the First Step Act, wanted it to be very clear that I recognize it was a very small first step. But I support cash bail being eradicated. I support the ending of mass incarceration, of course, mandatory minimums. I support sentencing reform. I do. But I would never say that we good because you support that. Because there's so many other things we need to deal with. What makes these people believe that that's a wrap now? Okay, she's good. She can walk away now. Who are we judging her to? Okay, look, remember, my goal, guys, is not only to critique Ms. Tulsi Gabbard, but also to make sure the candidate that is actually nominated from the Democratic Party, if that were to be Tulsi Gabbard, that they would be able to defeat Donald Trump. I have a lot of reasons for that. Okay? There's a lot of damage that Donald Trump is doing. That's not just the crap that they talk about in our media, such as what they're talking about today with the impeachment inquiry. Okay? The gutting of our Voting Rights Act. That would be one thing. That is something that Donald Trump is doing right now that greatly impacts black folks. Basically rolling back our civil rights. Trump gets a lot of credit for these opportunity zones. This is a Republican idea, and like most Republican ideas, they benefit corporations a lot more than they benefit citizens. You can't take advantage of an opportunity zone if your ass is broke. You can't take advantage of an opportunity zone if you don't have capital to invest. You hear a lot of talk about opportunity zones. The only people able to take advantage of them that are black are Killer Mike and T.I., millionaires who happen to rap that I know of. I'm sure a lot of businessmen like Byron Allen can take advantage of it, but it doesn't help you or me unless you are a famous person or a person with a lot of money who's liquid. Because you have to put up a certain amount of money for a certain amount of time, and that's where you get your return on your investment. Other thing, Donald Trump is cutting food stamps. So if you want to talk about, we help black people by mass incarceration, reducing mass incarceration, well, Donald Trump's cutting SNAP. He's been cutting social safety net programs during his administration. So I tell you these things, tightening the eligibility for SNAP to qualify for even food stamps for help, social safety nets. He's been tightening the restrictions on it. Tightening the hoops that you have to jump through to get a damn food stamp. So it's not just, I want you to just do better. Well, I want you to beat Trump. And there's an urgency for Trump to be defeated, not because he's got orange hair or orange hands or a weird, tan or a hair piece, or him and his wife ain't getting along, or his sons are goofy, or any of that stuff, or things he said on Twitter. No, because he's damaging. In a lot of ways, he's not helpful. Okay? So there is a sense of urgency to remove him from office, and if that's what you say you're going to do, you're going to need some black people to do it. And I'm trying to help you understand what you need to do that. How are you going to win those people over? Now, in the pursuit of winning people over, you have to educate people to what's going on. Because if I didn't know why these people say they need stuff or why they need special attention, maybe it's possible I would be like, these people are just crazy, man. These are prima donnas. Why they always asking for something special, man? Medicare for all helps everybody, which is why I support Bernie's Medicare for all. $15 minimum wage helps everybody, which is why I support it. But there are specific issues affecting the black community which have been there, embedded in our system for so long, folks, that those issues require focused, dedicated countermeasures in order to eradicate them, or at least mitigate them. You understand? So instead of just saying that and leaving it there, let's give some proof. Let's bring some receipts. Thank you, Joyful Noise on Twitter, for helping me out with this. You didn't know that you were helping me with this, but you helped build this segment with your informative tweets. Let's start off with this. One of the reasons why we need to focus is blacks lost their wealth during the housing crisis. Report shows African Americans lost half their wealth due to housing crisis and unemployment. Okay? This is not me saying it. It's not me saying it. It's the National Low Income Housing Coalition saying it. Websites available. The State of the Housing in Black America explores recent housing trends in the African American community, including high rates of foreclosures and falling rates of home ownership, the impacts of these trends for current and future generations, and concludes by advocating for improved policies to address the needs of housing in Black America. What people don't understand, and I understand, like, I get it, people don't know this. This is not something you walk around all day thinking about if this is not impacting your life. But what you must understand, it's not about only what you know. It's about what other people know and live and experience. So here's the deal. A large amount of wealth that was held in the Black community was lost during the housing crisis, the foreclosures. It has been documented that those adjustable rate mortgages that were set up, that adjusted, when they readjusted, people were no longer able to afford to pay their mortgages. That was disproportionately focused on poor and Black folks. Poor folks, Black folks. When you say poor folks, that means what as well? Black folks, because we are also mostly of the poor, disproportionately reflected in the poor, okay? And we're going to talk more about that in a minute, why that's so. Not because people are lazy, not because people smoke crack, not because people buy too many Nikes, but because of all the other things I'm going to run down to you. So a lot of Black wealth was held in our homes. Home goes away, wealth goes away. Those illegal foreclosures like West One, whatever, with Steve Mnuchin, those types of companies that were basically loan shark, predatory lenders. People with less money tend to be less educated about money. They took advantage of that. Wall Street has still not been held accountable for that. Now, don't get me wrong, this has affected lots of folks. But when the average Black family's worth has a dime for every dollar a white family has, that's not just that one family we're talking about. We're talking about their relatives and friends and family, extended family. So when one white family member hits Skid Row or things go bad, they have other family members who may be doing well that can help them readjust. I'm not saying that for everybody. What I'm saying is it exists a lot less in the Black community for reasons I'm going to explain later. But you must understand that one of the issues that Black communities face is not just mass incarceration. So please don't be one of the people just talking about mass incarceration, about bail. And it's not just HR 40, it's also the housing crisis that took the wealth, the little bit of wealth that was being held in the Black community away by thieves. Not because they all went to Vegas and gambled, because they were preyed upon, and there was Wall Street, greedy Wall Street banks speculating and day trading away their mortgages, playing games, making up crazy schemes. And they all got bailed out and we didn't. All right. Next. Median Black wealth of Americans will fall to zero by 2053. To his credit, I've heard Andrew Yang make this statement a number of times. I wonder how many people really listen to it. Amazingly, the people in the Yang gang think, oh, if we just give Black folks $1,000 a month, that'll change it all. No, it won't. The median wealth of Black Americans will fall to zero by 2053. Man, $1,000 a month will cover living expenses, things that people need to do to their car. We're not talking about wealth. That's not wealth. That's income. Study predicts huge and growing gulf between the white U.S. households and everyone else could be disastrous for the future of America's middle class. By 2020, median black and Latino households stand to lose nearly 18% and 12% of the wealth they held in 2013, respectively, while median white household wealth increased by 3%. The report states, at one point just 3 years from now, white households are projected to own 86 times more wealth than black households and 68 times more wealth than Latino households. Let me repeat that for anybody in the cheap seats. By 2020, which will be next year, because this has been out a couple of years. This is an article by The Guardian, right? By The Guardian, okay? This was written in 2017. By 2020, median black and Latino households stand to lose nearly 18% and 12% of the wealth they held in 2013, respectively, while median white household wealth increased by 3%. At that point, just 3 years from now, white households are projected to own 86 times more wealth than black households and 68 times more wealth than Latino households. With the U.S. set to become majority minority by 2044, researchers say this spells major economic peril for the nation. If Latinos and blacks are doing well and we end up being the majority of Americans, that means America's not doing well, don't it? Now it's not just a black people and Latino people problem. This is a country problem, an America problem, right? So this is what I'm talking about. This is not just mass incarceration. This is not just H.R. 40 reparations study bill to study, form a commission to study something. This is about income. And if people don't have income, if there's income inequality, people don't have wealth, excuse me. This is about income inequality and people do not have wealth, particularly black people don't have wealth. You just heard it. By 2053, no wealth. What does that lead to? You know, Ben Shapiro loves to talk about the crime. What's her name? Whatever her name is. Forget her. One of these Fox ladies, the black girl, whatever. Loves to talk about black people not doing right or babies or something. Why don't she talk about this? Why don't she talk about all of the things, the factors that impact black life that put people in situations that are horrible? I don't know, man. I just know that if you live near the poverty line and your cousins live by the poverty line and your nephews live by the poverty line, your mothers and your parents, everybody's near the poverty line or close to it, that's a bleak outlook on life, which leads to a lot of not positive things. Which of these presidential candidates are focusing on helping black people who have a specific situation that is more, it has more trepidation than the white situation? We have two houses. You go to the block. There's a house on fire. There's a house not on fire. And you say, spray, just spray everywhere. Some water may land on the house that's on fire, but doesn't it make more sense to spray just the house that's on fire? But no, we don't want to do that because we don't want to show what? Favoritism? Let's keep going. One of the other casualties of all of this is black middle-class kids become poor adults. Yeah, that's what's happening. Our wealth is going backwards. So people, black folks who did well, who accumulated things, they lose things, they're unable to pass down that wealth to their kids. The kids don't grow up and do as good as them. You hear Bernie Sanders talk about this all the time, about this being a generation that's going to do worse than their parents. Well, that's double for us. Remember, when white people got a cold, we got the walking dead pneumonia. When it comes to financial stability, black Americans are often in much more precarious financial situations than white Americans. The unemployment rate is higher, and so is the level of poverty within the black community. In 2013, the poverty rate among white Americans was 9.6%, Among black Americans, it was 27.2%. That's 3 times the amount of poverty in the black community. Do you understand why I say, are we together on this? Do we understand why I say, hey, maybe we need to look at that stuff look at black people's stuff a little bit more closely. Maybe there needs to be policies directed to them. Maybe, you see, it's not just, ooh, we want some special stuff. We dying. And we've been dying. Do you understand? When Kamala Harris said, I'm not going to do anything for black people especially. I would never do that. No, that's what she said on the Breakfast Club. I mean, you wouldn't say that to a dog. I've had some dogs that were starving and weren't getting any food, and these dogs are eating. I would never say I'm not going to do anything for these dogs over here that are starving. You know? That's crazy. You'd be like, you come get me for mistreating of animals. And you would call me inhumane. But I can do that to black people. We as a government can decide, as a presidential candidate can say, I don't need to do anything special for black people that are struggling, that are 3 times the rate of poverty, 3 times the rate of infant mortality, all of these things, and say, well, we're not going to do anything special for them because we don't want to piss off white people. That's really what it is. I don't believe that people are saying these things or not doing these things because they're just horrible people that don't want to help others, that they don't care about other people. I think the problem is the uneducation and the lack of empathy of some other people. But I would like to think it has more to do with lack of education. That's what, and also, and me, I'm taking ownership and saying, hey, maybe I should talk about it instead of trying to be funny all the time. Maybe I should, to my audience, I have a diverse audience. I have a responsibility to make sure that you're informed. So that you're not one of these people just walking around the internet, just floating around the internet, trolling other people when they bring up stories, bring up subjects, that you actually are informed, that you understand 3 times the poverty rate of white folks. 0 out, no wealth by 2053 the way things are going. Most of wealth lost in a recession. White people are rebounding. We not. Do you understand? There's more. Income distribution. Even black Americans who make it to the middle class are likely to see their kids fall down the ladder. Oh, this is a graph from the last, okay? This is a graph from how black kids become poor adults. Now, why is that? This is according to the Brookings Institute, right here in D.C. where I'm at. In a recent blog post, Reeves said that 7 out of 10 black children who are born to families with incomes that fall in the middle quintile of the income spectrum will find themselves with income that's 1 to 2 quintiles below their parents during their adulthood. I'm seeing that play out myself. I'm seeing it play out in my own life. I was in IT. I left IT. I'm doing this. My son is nowhere near in the realm of making money that I was making when I was in IT. The greater probability of slipping back applies to blacks across income groups. No matter how good you do, no matter how far we go, this is a problem because we don't have family members and friends who have money because, by and large, we're a poor group. Not just one part of the family broke, everybody broke. And this is across the board. Not everybody. Don't get me wrong. There are people doing well. As Karen Hunter want to remind us, there's some black people doing well. Dr. Dooley's doing well. Nina Turner's doing well. I'm doing okay, but I'm married with a wife who has a job while I do this, and I'm eking it out. But there are some people who are not doing well, and there's a lot more of us not doing well. That's not the case for white America. You have an upper class, an upper middle class, a middle class, a lower middle class, and then your poverty. We right here. You understand? We right here. Most of us, and then a few people up here. Few. basketball stars and such, rappers and such. There's more, guys. Hey, look, we want information. People in my comment section acting like they don't understand what's concerning black people. And somebody's saying, oh, Tim Blackwell, at least Andrew Yang doesn't pander to black people. Is he helping them, though? What policies are they specifically going to offer to remedy this situation? Are we just going to say H.R. 40 is enough to sign a piece of legislation that's been sitting in the House since 1989? Just a study to look at it? Is that really the argument I'm getting hit with? Do you understand how I might be a little pissed off about that? Knowing this stuff? That's all you got is a piece of legislation that has how much of a chance of passing? Let's keep going, guys. There's more to know. More than half of black and Latino workers are what? Pay less than $15 an hour. Do you see why I'm pissed off about certain people talking about not increasing the minimum wage? Who does that impact more? Who does it impact more when you don't raise the minimum wage, when it's not a livable wage? Now, you may disagree with me. Do you understand why? Across the country, more than half of black workers and nearly 60% of Latino workers are paid less than $15 an hour, thanks to factors including discrimination in hiring, underfunded schools, and an unjust justice system. So remember, all of this is related to each other, right? So I'm not saying that mass incarceration doesn't impact, but yeah, there are people, 1 in 3 black males will go to prison in their lifetime. 1 in 3. So if 1 in 3 black males will go to prison in their lifetime, what do 1 in 3 black males end up having? You got it, Johnson, a record, Johnson. Boy, I tell you. So what is it harder for them to find? Gainful employment. And what types of crimes are most of these black folks, some of these black males, locked up for? Oh, I know. Nonviolent drug offenses like having weed. And why do they get locked up for having weed more than white people when every study shows that we smoke weed at about the same rate, or we do drugs at about the same rate? Because cops don't pull us over at the same rate. And then they say, you're always up to something. That's why we pull you over. No, because you always pull us over. That's why we had the higher incarceration rates. We could do this all day. But the bottom line is for this discussion is it leads to income inequality. It leads to lower life expectancy. It leads to all the maladies of society that we all know about, that we talk about, that we say we know about if you're a Bernie supporter or a Yang supporter or a Tulsi Gabbard supporter or Elizabeth Warren supporter even. Hell, if you're a Democratic Party supporter in any way, if you're a Green Party member supporter, if you're agnostic and don't support nobody, you understand that there are things that go on in our society that are horrible. A lot of those things can be traced back to money. Don't you go believing it's all about video games. Come on, don't be that ignorant. Come on, man. Video games and music, hip-hop songs. White people listen to hip-hop too, man. In fact, white people listen to more rap than black people. You ain't really make it as a rapper until you really cross over. And I don't mean that as the art form, but I mean that as far as economically, financially. So I just wanted to run through a few things, a few reasons why I say, and the reason why I was saying you need to be more focused on black issues, because there is yet to be a candidate to really address these issues head on and say, okay, I'm going to directly tackle them. And don't just say H.R. 40, programs that directly impact these problems I just shared with you. None of these problems are issues that are just in fact an individual's personal choice. These are systemic things that have been impacting, that have been blowing up and flowing and growing within the black community for decades, okay? This is systemic. So are we going to address it or are we not going to address it? Every candidate should be checked on this. This is not exclusive to Tulsi Gabbard. It was exclusive to Tulsi Gabbard because yesterday, during the Democratic debate, Kamala Harris brought this up about building the coalition of voters. Now, we know a lot of black people voted for Obama because Obama was the first opportunity for the people that have been in this country for over 400 years, who were property, who didn't have all the civil rights, all the human rights of white people until 1965 to have a president. But what's going to make black folks come out in droves to make sure that we get another president in this office? I don't think you can ever have a first black president again enough to get black people to come out like that. So what you got to do? What do you got to do? You can't just say, H.R. 40, I'll sign that bill to look at, study to see if maybe we could, I don't know, see what it would be like or what stuff we need to consider if we decided maybe we could get, they could have that commission decide that, this don't make sense. And throw it away. So I just want to make sure people understand, like, we don't have to agree on stuff, but we should know what we disagree about. Right? We should know what the fundamental, like, what are the basis for our disagreement? And too often people are just jumping on one another. So let's stop it. And what I also want is for my people, my 10 Black Wolf Pack, my community, man. I'm building a community. We're building this together, right? This is an inkling in my eye. What if we create people that was diverse, a group of people that care about some similar stuff? We could help each other. We could build with each other. We could share information. And we could spread it. We could spread the positive, and we could spread the realness to all the people. That was the idea that I had. But I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. I can't do this alone. You can't build a movement. You can't build a community by yourself. And what I would love to happen is that we as a community are able to be educated and informed and know this stuff and be able to share it with others. So when people make comments, a lot of times they're making comments out of what? Ignorance. And that's black people, white people, Latino people, Asian people, Native American people, all types of people. Gay, straight, don't matter. LGBTQIA. So we need to educate them. But first, we need to be educated. This is not just about Tulsi Gabbard. It's about everybody in this race. It's about the issues. Now that you know that stuff, now that you know the situation, it may also impact how you see the world, how you see others. Now that you know more than likely the story of those people who will never tell you their situation. You don't get that personal. But I know some of the white people that I talk to on a daily basis have far more resources than I do. And if not them, they have a cousin or an aunt or next door neighbor or a friend or a person they went to school with who has far more resources than I do. There have been people that have helped me do things on this show, white folks who have given to this show who didn't even blink. Something I could not afford to do for others. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it pains me to tell you that, but that's just keeping it 100. And some of those people, you know who you are, and you know what you've done in the past. You know what you've done. Because you could. If I was in your position, would I have to ask you that? No, I wouldn't. Do you understand? So, there you go. I'm going to leave that there. That's the end of that conversation. I'm Tim at TimBlackTV.com. I'm going to, when I release this video, I'm going to make a separate video for this because I think it warrants it. I'm going to put links to all of the documentation that I use in this video. I want everyone to be armored with the truth and the facts. Everything can't be a joke. Everything isn't funny. There's nothing funny about poverty. There's nothing funny about being zeroed out by 2053. There's nothing funny about one out of every 3 black men having a record of going to jail. It's nothing funny about it. It's nothing a joke. I can't flip it, Johnson. All I can tell you is I need you to know, and I need you to understand why I'm pushing these damn candidates. Government has to work for us. This ain't something. This ain't all the pulling of my shoestrings, all the pull myself up by my shoestrings, all that stuff. What's all that? That will not change the situation for the entire black community. It just won't. I'm one person. Me getting better, doing better, don't change everybody. Ask LeBron. Ask Denzel. Ask any of them. Ask Oprah. Ava DuVernay. Tyler Perry. Any of these unicorns. Snoop Dogg. Ask them. It don't change everybody. It don't even change everybody in their family. All right. Did you enjoy that content? I know you did. You got great taste, Johnson. What can I say? Become a member of the Tim Black Wolf Pack today right here on YouTube, or go to patreon.com, Tim's Take Live, and you'll get free stuff, special stuff, secret stuff. Do it today. Wolf Pack.